With a long history of innovation and milestones in display technology, Sony brought you the world's first direct view portable transistor TV, and later introduced you to the popular Bravia series, which combined powerful processing with ultimate picture quality for a vivid and realistic sensory experience that transports viewers. Sony also pioneered the first micro LED technology, which led to the development of our modular crystal LED direct view display, providing captivating imagery with amazing contrast, precise color reproduction, and immersive visuals. Join us as we unveil the next Sony breakthrough in premium direct view display technology designed to faithfully bring content to life as the creator intended.
Hello and welcome to the first ever design event. Sony's extremely excited to help kick off the event this morning. I would have loved to have been in person to reconnect with all my friends and family in the community. However, COVID. I'm looking forward to this opportunity though to gather virtually as we close out 2020. It's certainly an interesting year full of changes and transition for me personally and for the industry as a whole. For those who don't know me, my name is Rich Ventura. I'm the Vice President of B2B for Sony Electronics Professional Division, driving Sony's AV portfolio, including displays, remote cameras, projectors, and AV solutions in multiple vertical markets. But that's not who I am. I've had almost 20 years in this industry, and part of that has been on helping support the industry on the Digital Signage Federation board. And I had the fortunate opportunity to spend 2 amazing years as the chairman. So you can say I'm all in for digital signage. The digital signage industry, like many others, was tasked this year with evolving due to COVID. During this time of transition, we've seen many companies embrace the challenges and new realities that we have in front of us in so many valuable ways. It's been a tough year for us all, and the signage community stepped up and has been a driver through these critical times. Sony, just like you, is critical to the success of this industry, and we work closely with all of our partners to creatively, collaboratively, and cost-effectively address pain points during these critical times. As we all expedite our efforts to meet the changing landscape, there are a few trends that are paving its way. The industry is advancing beyond what was just simple signage to a more connected, smart, and solutions-based focused. IoT is becoming the norm for us all as we drive towards being able to control, measure, support, and deploy displays and other technologies remotely and safely. Further, it's critical that the signage deployments provide data and intelligence we can learn from so we can be smarter, more engaging, and drive personalized experiences. But that's really only scratching the surface. We're also seeing digital signage become a critical element for the businesses and applications we support. In the past, many clients treated signage as something that was nice to have. But today, we've come to realize it's more powerful as we convey a message, share information, and provide tailored and effective communications to connect and engage with the audience. Signage also provides automation capabilities and streamlining workflows and communications in a touchless world. Planning is also coming critical in this world, and we look at this when we talk about returning on objectives and better defining the overall deployment. And this comes back to IoT. When we strategically outline those objectives and benchmarks before a project begins, it gives everyone the opportunity to greatly impact a successful deployment. A major display-centric trend that's being embraced by the industry today is the adoption of direct view LED. As costs decrease, content needs increase, pixel pitches become finer, deployments become easier, and organizations recognize the value of flexible form factors and seamless screens. We're going to be seeing even more direct view LED installations. Also, as we see the resolutions continue to increase from 4K to 8K and beyond, this opens up new opportunities for bigger palettes. As the preview video before me teased, this is an area that Sony's been actively focused on and invested in for over 60 years. As a leader with a long-standing history and pedigree in consumer, professional, and healthcare display technologies for digital signage, on-set monitoring, evaluation, medical visualizations, and even home viewing, this is an area that's built into our DNA. Therefore, we're so excited to unveil the next step to our direct view display evolution next month, which will build upon our rich legacy in this space. Those in attendance at Design, you were the first to hear this little teaser about what's new, this new breakthrough that's coming and help transform the landscape. We hope you'll join us as we redefine expectations and help drive the next leap forward in signage that excites, engages, and immerses the audience. With that, I have the luxury and the privilege to introduce a great friend of mine who I've known for many years, Laura Davis Taylor. LDT, as she's well known, she started in the signage industry 20 years ago, kind of like me. She came off the heels of her first years working in the .com space and with large advertising agencies. And she really got to work with a lot of us in the industry, technology-wise, marketing-wise, you have a list, and helping us really define what retail and what brands need and how people want to connect, and help build a lot of new, exciting trends. From that, she was really hooked in what we're doing. And back in 2008, she helped co-author a book called Lighting Up the Aisle, which really helped start some of the foundation that a lot of us use today as we talk about measurement and how retail uses signage. Laura is very active in the community. She joined us in the DSF about 4 years ago, and very active in speaking and writing and just connecting with everybody in the industry. Just recently, she joined In Reality, which is a venue analytics firm, and so helping organizations even better understand it. With that, I'm going to hand over to Laura and let her kick off.
Thank you, Rich. I appreciate it. It's really great to be here, you guys. I really feel honored. This was a wonderful exercise, and you really going back to the 20 years, I did admit it, 20 years having been in this business, and I really feel like serving the industry as much as being part of it. And this crazy last year, it's really an important 30 minutes. And again, I appreciated the opportunity to really dig in with people like Rich, with friends in the industry, with people like DSF and Avixa and our amazing ecosystem, to share some hope and some wisdom and really some excitement for what this topic really is today, which is this is a springboard decade we're looking at. And some things have come together. And some things are coming together that really it's really an on-ramp to our future. So today in this keynote, I'm going to talk about our industry, but tomorrow Beth is going to come in and she's going to get closer in on how to connect with the consumers and the people that we're looking to reach, and really how to help us help move them for business value. But we are going to shake it up a little bit. Rather than me just talking at key points, Gary the Guru is going to come in and weigh in, and he wants you to weigh in too with this new platform. Everything you guys stream in here, whether you have a question, a pontification, a point, please don't be shy because we are interacting live, okay? So let's get going, and this really sums it up for me. I think it's a bit of a giggle, but I mean, come on, can we just do a combined head slap here? It has been a tough year, but we lived through it. We lived through it. And I tend to be a little of a Pollyanna. I like to look at the bright side. We have some things that really spawned our growth. And, with great challenge comes great opportunities, doesn't it? And we have all lived that. And I was reflecting here on what you're really open with, and two things really came to mind, and they're comments that have been true for the 20 years in our industry, which is as we're trying to create new adoption behaviors for people, we're the same people. And we don't change until the pain of remaining the same exceeds the pain of change, of learning something new, do we? But you know what my other favorite one is? That power doesn't change you, it amplifies who you always were. And we as an industry have showed people what we're made of. We went from this notion in 2000 of narrowcasting and right message, right time, and being able to serve up relevant stuff to people from a communications perspective to saving lives, y'all. I mean, take a minute and think about that. We really have. We stepped up and helped businesses stay afloat, helped schools continue to educate students, help people still try and navigate spaces safely. And who would have done it had we not existed? I think we deserve some credit for that. As much as it's been a year, we've really shown the impact we can make. And I'd like to kind of start with context of, I know we've all had a story this year, but the year that In Reality has gone through, because it really does add some color to it. Seriously, a year ago, just like we were talking about customer experiences and how to make sure we get more from our places and spaces, we were 100% focused on venue analytics and taking data from different sensors and turning into dashboards, kind of like this notion of physical analytics, physical online analytics. We were 100% focused on that, and here comes COVID, and we all looked at each other just like you guys did and went, oh my God, what do we do now? And like you, we got creative, and like you, we had to see what we were made of. And we looked around and said, well, someone's going to have to get people back in. Someone's going to have to manage it all. Can't do it in a silo. Someone's going to have to enterprise enable it. And we looked to the industry, we looked to our friends, we looked to what was out there, our resources. And we helped with Creative Realities create the thermal mirror, temp scanner. And we moved along and started watching the industry from a global level and saw, people are asking questions. They have this Q&A thing. And people are needing some way to make others feel safe that they're supposed to be there. So we moved that on into a 3-step safe path solution so we could start to automate it. And we formed better alignments with people like Elo and Brightsign and Legrand, and we went to distribution. And all of a sudden, here we are with a completely new world order. And as we look towards what's next, we're really looking to serve. What are the needs that we can take this amazing platform we have and plug in to solve? You guys are in the same place, and that's the headspace I want you to really be thinking about. And the other headspace I want you to be thinking about is this amazing industry. Not a whole lot of people understand or know this, but the entire goal of the Digital Signage Federation marries up to this. It's about being by members, for members, working together to help us all rise, to help us all come together. And that is what we've done, us as In Realities of Business, you guys as people doing the same thing. We've had to partner with new friends, with old friends. We've all had to really work together. And had we known a year ago that DSC would have been absolutely gone, and all these industries were sideways, and we'd be sitting here with a Vixen and DSF together, you'd be thinking I'm crazy. But what a wonderful thing. What a wonderful thing. So it really comes down to grounding us today in the trends that have always made us wonderful, but the trends that we have at basically, the trends that we have available to take us to the next level. So I'm going to touch on these things, and it really starts with communication, which we are still doing today, in some cases very mission critically for COVID protocol, interaction, immersion, protection, as we've done this year, but also this, as Rich just talked about, IoT and this new automated world that we've just given people a taste of. And a good thing is, once people get a taste of something, it's not so daunting, is it? It really isn't. So rather than just go into lots of past case studies that are just inspiring, I'm going to do it from the Digital Signage Awards entries. And I'm going to touch on just a couple, because we want to know 2 things here for you guys, that the Digital Signage Awards is going to continue. Stay tuned on that. Ray will keep you updated. But there's some great inspiration from this year. And one of them, here's a case in point of the Toronto Union Eatery. These guys have 300,000 people in their Union Station in Toronto. And they came together to put together these LED sign bands. And they've taken all of the different vendors that represent some of the most beloved restaurants in Toronto and helped them become storytellers. And they've actually helped the whole thing become an orchestrated live event space as well. They've really changed the paradigm of what a food court should be. I'm going to butcher this name, but you can get to me later. Simulcara. This is immersive, interactive digital art. It is unbelievable. If you haven't seen this, go look up the video. This is real-time art that responds to what's happening around at the level of traffic, key incidences, as well as what people are doing with it from mobile. And it's living, iterative, morphing art. It's the best of data coming together to create digital content. It's amazing. And speaking of amazing, this right here is the Hard Rock Cafe in Seminole. It's become a South Florida icon. This thing projects up to 20,000 feet. It is literally a beacon and a brand, and it completely reinvents the wow factor. Another one on a more human level that really stood out to us that we're judging, the Wilderverse at Connecticut's Children's Hospital. This is an infusion room for chronically ill children. And you can imagine what the impact is to take the space, make it immersive. And the kids can come in, become an avatar, and literally, while they're getting their infusions, go into an alternate universe. And the thing that they hear the most is, Mom, Dad, I don't want to leave. I actually get chills just talking about that, because that's the impact we can have. As you can see, there's a trend here in all these different ways that we're manifesting. Wells Fargo Center, really impressive. This is the first 4K center hung entertainment leaderboard, scoreboard. I mean, it's a million different things. It's actually 20 million pixels. But this thing has become probably what the stadium arena of future could look like. And the brand advertisers are lining up for it. On a retail level, I'm coming out of Sweden. We loved this example of one of the things that Rich talks about, the ability to take physical and venue spaces and actually bring them together. This is a store. It's a pop-up that has one of everything. You walk up to the ELO screen, you scan it, you get everything you need from it, whether it's the design inspiration of the designer, whether it's functional like price, whether it's the sustainability footprint. You can go into the back, literally touch a screen and create your entire environment for the dressing room experience. And the numbers show really the impact. They had a 43% increase in basket with a 1% return rate. So again, inspiration for future models we can all follow. And the next one is a project I was involved in with NEC and Bright Sign and Signage Live in La Grande, where we came together for this thing called the Living Retail Lab. And we went into a store that decided to become a restaurant and a bar. And we wanted to definitively show the impact of content and using the best of venue analytics and responsive CMSs, edge computing. We proved out that when you go from a static menu board to visual to moving, you can increase sales as much as 25%. And when we used dynamic responsive content, we had product that was moving 400%. The whole point of that is that data actually does open doors. And when you can prove something and you can measure something, you can find it a lot easier. And just one more, which is really quite magical. This was a group that came together for a bigger purpose. It was called Step In, Step Out. It's actually the Arctic Refuge Experience. And this is a pop-up that took people into a multi-sensory experience of what it was like to live the seasons of the Arctic. And you literally, through temperature, through sound, through smell, everything, live the seasons, and all of a sudden, it changes. And what changes it is the impact of gas and oil. So this thing actually helps people transport themselves into another place for the greater good. Again, just a smattering of the amazing things that we've accomplished, but the amazing things we could accomplish and did accomplish that we weren't able to put into words are these use cases we didn't see coming. And if anybody on here can't say, I used to do this, but now I also do this, I question it. I really would. And I think that just quickly going through this, we found a way to create safe entry for employees. This is the CRI thermal mirror to make sure that you don't have a reason to not be in the space and work along other people. And this next one is safe entry for patrons. This is ELO's Anytime Fitness and making sure you can automate the screening process for that. Touching quickly on what we call the 3-step safe pass. This is one of our products where we wanted to make things frictionless as possible because we saw kind of a TSA type thing starting to happen at the front of the venue. But we also really tuned into this notion of legal liability and wanting to make sure that any business owner has a compliance trail. Mitigating legal risk and what we call duty of care is important because in this country, but all over the world, we have a lot of changing policy. And what we want most is for people to have peace of mind to come into places and spaces using our digital, but also for the business owners to have peace of mind they're not going to get sued over it. We have a learning center where actively writing about some of these topics and things to watch out for and really starting these conversations. And I urge people to take a look at that at inreality.com because it's not really as much about our product as for the industry, things we're seeing and things to get in front of and wanting to hear from you on other things we should take on. But there's also things that I'm going to call out. Whoops. Have a little trouble getting. There we go. Smart offices. And this is coming from 22 Miles and what they've done to help automate planning the office space and making sure that people are actually the volume level of employees in this space is right. They should be there and that we can book meeting rooms and do all the things that are going to be indicative of the new normal when we come back to work. And finally, we have a really interesting one. The left comes out of Australia, and this was COVID safe. This is one of our Australian clients made us aware of this. It is a contact tracing app that the country of Australia uses, high penetration rate, but there's no PII involved. It uses Bluetooth to be able to trace where people have been and be able to hone in if there's been an issue. And coming out of that as well is the Corona tag, which is starting to, we just saw it this week, something that may be similar here. So what I really want to talk about here as sort of leaving these case studies is they will continue to expand, and we have to continue to expand to meet the needs. And although that can be daunting, it's also full of opportunity. It's also a springboard for us to say, how can we help next, and how can we create business value for our clients, but also for the people in their spaces. And just like you guys were sweating 2021, who has ever sat here in strategic planning in December and gone, I really don't know what's going to happen next, especially after this year. I mean, if you're not sweating it, you don't have a pulse. But we have some people that can help. And I'm going to spend some time here on the 2020 IOTA study from Avixa. And first of all, thank you, Sean, who has up insights, and all the different people who I spoke to inform some of the things that are being shared here, but some of the anecdotal stuff as well. A little shout out here. This was published, I believe, in July, but there's going to be an update to it in the next week or two. But Sean wanted me to make sure to tell everybody that the hypotheses and the things that it was based on are still holding true. We haven't seen any radical shifts. And I want to start here. Spend a little time looking at this. And again, as Rich and everybody said, this deck will be out there so you can take a look closer in. We obviously crashed. We know we crashed. We were part of that crash. And we're in the slow road to recovery. And luckily, because we're in the business of helping to solve some of these challenges, a lot of us are doing okay. The industry in general is doing okay. We do expect a second drop. But the good news is that although the recovery will be slow, the highlight I got was we're actually going to be looking better than even these numbers forecast. And whoopsie, I want to just really highlight it here. We're dropping about $20 billion this year, and that's sobering. But if we look at the compound annual growth rate and what we're looking at globally, we're going to come back with vengeance. And there's reasons for that I'll touch on in just a second. So let's look at this by segment. A couple of things here. What you see in the red is 2020 revenues for each of these different segments: corporate, media, entertainment. Y'all can take a look in here and kind of dig in. But what you see here in the purple is the 5-year 20 to 25 compound annual growth rate. And isn't it interesting when you think about it? Picture tells a lot of stories to look at this. Corporate has done very well. Although the growth rate is a little slower, it's still huge. But you look at some of these other things where retail was obviously very low, but the growth rate is very high. I want to stress to you guys to spend a little time with this slide, as well as the next one I'm about to show, and really think about what your company is good at and the verticals that you're in, and whether you might want to pivot a little bit. And when you pivot, what kind of problems, opportunities you might be able to focus on, and how you can help your customers bounce back. And this is a good slide where it takes the exact same ones, and what we're looking at here is up in the left, how hard they were hit, and up in the right here, how quickly they'll bounce back. I love these charts because, again, from an infographic perspective, they tell a lot of stories. Obviously, corporate's a big one. It's a BHAG. It's not going to be growing as quickly, but it's still great to be there. Now, hospitality, venue, events, retail, they got hit hard. We know that. But they also have the potential to come back very quickly if we can help them. So through the solutions lens, which I really appreciate they cut it this way too. What do you offer? What do we offer? What should we be offering? Obviously, no shock, conferencing and collaboration, learning, digital signage, content distribution, super, super healthy. You're not going to go out of business for focusing there. But there's other areas that were smaller that have a great opportunity for growth. And you can see here, think about where you can solve the most pain. You know, we as a corporate team have been spending a lot of time on blue ocean and red ocean, and you know, where do we go that we're going to be able to solve the most issues? I want to stress to everybody, don't look at these numbers without looking deeper. Okay, so you even think about things like live performance, or let's talk about cinema. Beth, who's doing the keynote tomorrow, she and I were talking about this yesterday. You have to also look through the lens of culture and even self-reference a little bit with yourselves. I mean, a lot of us have gotten pretty used to the ease and fun factor of being able to live stream into our homes. Cinema may have a bigger problem because we've taught ourselves new tricks, new habits. So with that in mind, do you want to play there, or do you want to help them get past that barrier? I hope you guys get the point. And here's how the solutions might be bouncing back. Okay, so obviously surveillance, security, conference and collaboration. These are things where we've literally helped people get back to business. We talk a lot about, will these things stick? Will we get back to business in physical spaces the way we used to? Will we have more online learning and remote learning as a de facto? Maybe, maybe not. Where does digital signage play in? And how do we help live events get back? How do we help performances, entertainment get back? We started 1999 and 2000 about all about CX. And we still know and love CX as one of the great strategic levers to really help businesses thrive. Live events and performance and events, these are highly emotional, CX-oriented things. How can we bring them back into our day-to-day? It really comes down to, we all have a different way to plan our business. We all have a different way to partner with each other. We all have different potentials. And as Rich touched on, and thanks to Rich because he really helped inform a couple pivots in this presentation, but also in some of my thinking. And that is, it is really about the evolution of display. It is all about getting beyond the boundaries of just the box. And when you think about this, John touched on this, as well as some of my friends and mentors in the industry. There are some things that this study didn't cover. There's some wide open opportunities that it didn't touch on. But like we read the tea leaves of data and research, this is the stuff that's standing out. That it's not so hard to get digital signage functionally working anymore. It's up in the cloud. But with the influx of IT spending that happened to create basically the fixes for what happened with COVID, they are springboards. They are infrastructure investments we can now use for things like this. We have trained people for functional things like screening to get into spaces that you can actually remove the human so that you can free up that human to do other things. That was core to CX, wasn't it? But we got a taste of IoT by that. We haven't really been calling it that. We got a taste of IoT with that. And now that we have, as a society, learned that there really isn't a barrier between digital and physical, we expect that digital thread to be there. Our customers need to help. They need our help to be able to do that, and to be able to make omnichannel more than a theory. Because people like Amazon already do it. It's in their DNA. Beth is going to touch on this more tomorrow. But there's this other opportunity that I know we at In Reality have really embraced, not only for analytics, but as we've gone through the journey of 2020 and how we connect devices and things and data to create both experiences, but to create a business edge. And what lies ahead for us on that? When we started 2020, I don't remember when Minority Report was out there. God, that's going to date me. But that was sort of this pie in the sky idea. We've really actually experienced it already. We got a taste, and there is no looking back at this point. So for that, I'm grateful for COVID. And I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, but we've had to push ourselves, and our clients have had to push ourselves. And some of them went out of business because they didn't push themselves. And we opened the door as an industry to be the people to take these environmental spaces and to go so beyond digital signage, to go into this world where we really are connecting people, places, and things like we've never imagined. And here's the other thing I really want you to think about is your role in that. Here's the great thing about digital signage in this industry. Again, whether you're new or whether you're an old dog like us, you can still have a great living in this whole, what we call hang and bang. You can still be a provisioner and just get stuff up and connected and still do great. But I want to think about here how our industry can also become the enablers. And a lot of us already are. A lot of you have thought about it. But how do we get in and actually solve problems with our technology and create new paradigms with our technology, like Rich talked about, like I just touched on, like the industry is pointing us towards. And what role do you want to be? Would you rather get in and be a partner consultant who's actually, like I used to be, arms on the table with everybody, saying, we're going to figure this out from an ROI perspective, a business perspective. We're going to help you connect all the connections, and we're going to help you get to that one slide that the C-level looks at and goes, God, you're a hero. Thank you. Or do you want to actually be a product designer? There's great opportunity to go out and build packaged products, packaged solutions, because a lot of our customers really don't have the wherewithal to figure it out. And they'd rather have us come together and just present them with the answer. These are things we all need to think about. And like you, we don't know where the next year is going to lead us. But what we do know is that we've got some guiding lights here. And we're primed for growth now more than ever. This is also out of the Avixa study. But I couldn't say it better. We are strong. We become stronger. We've got new opportunities that we probably wouldn't have seen for 5 years had 2020 not happened. And we have a choice right now as service providers on if we want to diversify or not. It's okay if you don't. But what I want to press on everybody is, why not? We are the right skill set to take this environmental, this IoT-enabled future and make it real. And we have the opportunity right now because of 2020, because of the investments that have been made, to go back to that conversation of CX. If we can check the box on the functional fears of getting people back into our spaces, which we've really done pretty well, we're now freed up to take those investments and get back to CX and get back to building value for businesses and for people, and to get back to proving the value and get back to helping everybody grow. But we're not going to do it if we don't do it together. And what a wonderful time to really acknowledge that. And for all of us as people, as an industry, as companies, really as end user clients as well, what I think we really need to think about is adopting this mentality of learning more and questioning more. I don't care if you're going through the DSF in our education or DSAG or Avixa. I would even press people to go way outside of our category on how to learn more, because the answers in the future are not going to be locked into our thinking. It's going to be on taking a wide angle lens, really thinking beyond that, but demanding more from our partners, demanding more from ourselves, and linking up with people that you like to work with, that you work well with, that you can solve things quicker, faster, and better together with. And questioning. I mean, we've always talked about, like, we've moved into an agile environment. We've moved into agile business planning. It's not fun, but it's the reality. And with that reality is also the excitement of what comes with it. And if we come together here and we embrace some of what's happening, and we continue to talk to each other, we continue to push and ask questions, we can become more. And now's the time. Oh my gosh, you guys, I just ended right at 0 seconds. I got it 30 minutes.
Hey, Laura. Hey, Laura, how are you doing?
I'm good, Gary. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Hey, for all of y'all that are hanging in there with all the stream issues, we're going to do a reset of the stream. As soon as we finish this keynote, we want to make sure we get to the Q&A that Laura has. Of course, we're recording this. It'll be much higher quality when you can watch the recording. There'll be no drops. The internet is one of those things, Laura. We can practice and rehearse, and everything works fine. And then we come in, and the internet is one of those things where you're having to constantly find a path that is open. Of course, if you're using Chrome, all you have to do is refresh and it'll fix them, but not everybody's using Chrome, and we apologize. We are working on it. As soon as we finish this Q&A with you, Laura, we hope that the problems will be fixed because we're switching channels. But my first question, there's a bunch of questions that came in. My first question is, of these new things that have happened, these new opportunities for digital signage, right? You named 4 or 5 new markets that emerged that are digital signage related markets specifically for AV integrators, things like occupancy sensor using signage, things like temperature measurement using signage, things like retail opportunities for directional and wayfinding using signage. Which of those is your favorite, but also which of those is, and if you were an AV integrator just sort of getting into the signage market, which the one you would start with?
Well, I always like to say follow the pain. You know, when you follow the pain, you can really create value for people. I've actually loved this year and working with my team on what we call the health safety protocol side of things, because there's so much pain in it. If we can't get people back into businesses, if we can't get people in the footfall back up, we suffer. So what we don't know is exactly where the COVID thing's going to end up. So I would say you really have to start with, how do we get through the months ahead to get to Q1, Q2? Some of the soothsayers in the industry say that it's probably going to be June or September before things are back to normal, and we still have to get back to what's next, right? I think retail needs a lot of help right there. I think hospitality needs a lot of help. Live events needs a lot of help. And I think that from the side of what do I love most, it's really the higher purpose we're able to serve now, that we can say that we have this role in not only helping businesses stay afloat, but helping people in some cases not get sick. I mean, there's people that have their life saved because of what we're doing. But if you're new to the safe space stuff, I'd say you probably want to, it's already been penetrated. You want to partner up with people who have gotten into it and see where you can add some value as an ecosystem.
I think our industry has obviously, by the way, we are aware of my stream quality. This is, again, a network issue that we're trying to fix. So Laura, you look good. I look terrible on the screen. So I'm just coming right out there and just saying, so that everybody aware that it's not their computer. But hey,
it's okay. We've all been there. It's all right.
Yeah, you could still do a meeting with audio, so you can at least hear me. But the quality is terrible. It's laughingly terrible right now, my stream, for whatever reason. But in any case, like I said, we're gonna reset it as soon as this session ends. Okay, so the biggest thing I've seen come out of new products specific around digital signage, these tablets where you take your temperature when you walk in, and it immediately gives you a go or no go, and that's a big part of signage because it requires a display to do that. Is that going to become a normal thing? Is that a thing that every integrator should become a dealer for, or should they assume that that's going to be a temporary thing that'll go away? And who are the companies out there or the products that they should look at?
I mean, that's the question du jour right now, is which of these things are going to stick? We talk about it every day, Gary. It's really hard to know. I think, because I'm a student of human behavior, the perception is reality. And for those who care about having more than less to give them peace of mind when they walk in a space, it's everything. For those who don't care, it's nothing. But that's probably 50% of your customer base. So if you can show them the clues that you care, the clues that you do more, by things like temperature screening, by things like automating the question and answer, by things like having like our Safe Pass, it's really important. But it's also important back to the business side to be able to prove that, God forbid, somebody comes in your space and they get sick and a family member sues you because they died. Can you prove that you went beyond what was reasonably? That's what the judges look like. Did you do what was reasonably expected? If you didn't, and you're in a place where it's like on fire, that's not reasonable expectation. So there's a lot of good stuff out there as far as temp screenings. It's probably too much. We have one. We feel the thermal mirror. We feel product with ELO. There's a bunch out there. Go to your network. Ask who's using what. Make sure you know what your business requirements are. There's a big difference between something that's just doing it, it's not saving the data, versus one like the stuff that we get behind, where you've got the ability to do all kinds of customizations and hold the data for X amount of days and tie it to a mobile app. Know your use cases and make sure that you're informing the end user on what they're going to get so you make the right choices.
Yeah, so I want to encourage everyone to go down to the bottom of this website you're on right now. Almost at the very bottom, you'll see a section called Resources. On the far right of that section called Resources, there's the 6 Ps of Safe Space Strategy. That is a white paper that Laura authored. It's actually got some really good ideas and good suggestions specific to our market and specific to the AV industry to help guide you when you go into a company, what you can offer from a technology. solves this problem that we're having right now with regard to COVID-19 and getting back to normal. I think that I'm part of the Pfizer trial just because I'm interested in technology, and it was interesting they did that because it's a DNA match of the virus, not the actual virus they were putting inside. So I wasn't really scared of it or anything like that. But this just shows you that technology is going to be the thing that's going to sort of drive us to get back to normal. I want to thank Laura for delivering the keynote. Thanks for putting yourself out there as the first test case for the design conference. Going to be over the next days. We're going to do that reset, and then we're going to go back to our moderators. The next session starts at noon. We'll do a reset really quick. You can stay on. You can talk to each other using the networking function. We're reloading that as well. Hopefully, you can stay on and just kind of hang out with us while we do this. But the moderators will pop right back in. It'll only take about a minute to do it. Love for doing this. I really appreciate it.